last night was tragic on many different levels, and this is a very, very active investigation, and we'll probably be at it for quite some time to determine what exactly happened. Let me just cover a few things first. Based on our latest information, 8 people are reported dead from the event last night. In terms of their ages, one is 14, one is 16, 2 are 21 years of age, 2 are 23, 1 is 27, and 1 remains unknown at this time. So a total of 8 that are reported dead. 6 of the 8 family members have been notified, and we know that at least 1 is outside of Houston-Harris County, resided outside of Houston-Harris County. Based on last night, 25 were transported to the hospital. 13 are still hospitalized, including 5 that are under the age of 18. Based on the information that we currently have, no one is reported missing. So 0 persons are reporting missing. 4 of the 25 will have been discharged from the hospital. Let me just say, as it relates to what happened last night, as far as we are aware, I'm not aware of any incident of this kind that has taken place at any one of our special events, either on the county side, on the city side, pretty much in the last, I would imagine, the last 40 years, where anybody has lost life. Now, we've had events where there may have been a crowd rush, or somebody had to be ejected, or maybe somebody has been injured, but nothing of this magnitude that any of us can recall, and certainly that I can recall, that is taking place in this city. This incident is being thoroughly investigated and reviewed thoroughly. It is important for us to ascertain from last night what took place, what happened, where missteps may have occurred, and in so doing, there have been conversations with, for example, representatives of Live Nation. We'll continue to talk to Travis Scott's people. We'll talk to as many witnesses as we can who were present last night. We are talking with individuals who have been hospitalized to try to get a much better understanding of what took place, what went wrong, where were the missteps. Certainly, HPD and other law enforcement organizations will be looking at as much of the video footage as possible to try to ascertain what took place. We'll look at the security plans themselves. We'll look at the collaboration that took place between the county and the city, even leading up to this particular event. As you know, NRG is a county facility. This is where this incident occurred, but it also occurred inside the city of Houston. So we'll look in depth at the collaboration between the two entities. In terms of personnel, and Chief Fenner can go into this even more, but let me just say preliminarily, we know that there were about 528 HPD officers that provided security for the event, and an additional 755 persons representing private security that Live Nation had that was providing security at this particular facility. So there are let me just say to you, there are a lot of unanswered questions. And over the next several days, several weeks, could be even longer, we'll take an in-depth look at everything that took place, why it took place, what steps we can do moving forward to mitigate an incident of this kind from taking place at any other point in time. Now, there are a lot of rumors on social media. Let me caution people not to buy into the rumors, okay? Because there are a lot of rumors. But nothing is left off the table in terms of persons who were there, people who may have fainted, or people who may, for whatever reasons, were transported to the hospital. There's a lot of conversation about people who crowd surge, all of those incidents, or whether or not anything else was involved. All of those things are being looked at, but it is way too preliminary now to draw any conclusions. But we're not taking anything off the table. This remains and will be a very active investigation. So with that being said, let me yield now temporarily to Judge Lena Hidalgo.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, and to all of the law enforcement professionals, first responders who have been part of a swift response. Thank you to them, and to all the Good Samaritans, because we know that it could have been much worse if so many people hadn't stepped in. The events of last night were tragic beyond belief. This is an artist that we know has a following amongst young people, in particular, young people with bright futures. Those were the people that were at the event, went to have a good time, and no one, no parent, no friend, no sibling should see their loved one off to a concert by a world-renowned artist and not be able to expect them to come home safely. And when we read these ages, 14, 16, 21, 21, 23, 23, 27, it just breaks your heart. And I know that the images we've seen are hard to stomach, and I imagine more will surface that are hard to stomach. Since late last night, I've been on the scene. I spent time at the Reunification Center talking to families, hearing their anguish. Those that didn't know where their loved ones were, sometimes it's harder not to know. And so I appreciate everybody's work, collaboration, trying to identify everyone. Our primary focus has been to support the City of Houston, to support the Houston Police Department, the Houston Fire Department, as they were providing the security for the event, as they were helping and leading the response. We have been at the Reunification Center. Our Institute of Forensic Sciences is responsible for identifying the victims. I was in touch with the Dr. Sanchez there, and they are working as quickly as they can on those autopsies so that they can release the bodies to the families and get some answers as to ultimately the cause of these deaths. Throughout the morning, I and my team have also been on the phone with all of the relevant county agencies, trying to untangle as much as we can about what may have led to this. The roles in particular that Live Nation, that the City of Houston, and that Harris County had in any of this. It may well be that this tragedy is a result of unpredictable events, of circumstances coming together that couldn't possibly have been avoided. But until we determine that, I will ask the tough questions, and that's what I've spent the morning doing. What I know so far is that Live Nation and Astroworld put together plans for this event, a security plan, a site plan, that they were at the table with City of Houston and Harris County, with City of Houston agencies and with Harris County's NRG Park. And so perhaps the plans were inadequate. Perhaps the plans were good, but they weren't followed. Perhaps it was something else entirely. The families of those who died and everybody affected deserve answers as to what took place last night. And that's why I'm calling for an objective, independent investigation as to what went on and how it could have been prevented, or if this was a particular situation that was simply out of everybody's hands. And I have directed county agencies to, as soon as we get that underway, cooperate, and I expect and hope the same for everybody else involved. As you all are aware, there was a similar incident in 2019 with Astroworld. There was a breaching of barricades. There were some issues with crowd control. Actions were taken after that experience. There was stronger fencing, more and more robust barricades. more personnel and more security personnel. You guys heard the increase in the officers. 2019 had 47 HPD officers. 2021 had 76 Houston Police Department officers. There was an increase in terms of private security, an increase in terms of event security. There was additional space for crowd control. But I want to know, and the community deserves to know, if more needed to have been done. So we'll focus on objectively finding out and reporting what happened, how it could have been prevented, and the public has a role here too. If you have any information as to what took place, let us know. Let the Houston Police Department know. Rumors, as the mayor said, that's not what we need. But there are some serious questions that need to be asked. So to the families, our hearts go out on behalf of Harris County. Our hearts go out to you, and just know that we won't give up on asking the tough questions about what exactly took place here. I'll repeat remarks in Spanish after everybody speaks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Let me two things that I do want to acknowledge and offer my condolences to all of the families who lost loved ones, and to those family members who were injured. So I do want to do that. Number one, I want to offer our condolences and our prayers to them. Secondly, I do want to acknowledge the quick response of the Houston Fire Department EMS unit. They had units that were already stationed around NRG Stadium, and they were able to step in immediately when reports of incident occurred. So to Chief Pena, to his entire team, to HFD, to EMS, I do want to acknowledge their very quick response. And then from the moment, for example, the reports were made known in terms of people falling, injured, let's say roughly at about 9:30, this event came to an end at 10 minutes after 10. Is when everything stopped, and people were in between, either seen on the site or they were transported to area hospitals. So I do want to acknowledge the very quick response EMS units, and the fact that this event did come to an end at 10:10. And we do want a very will be nonstop in terms of the review of this particular matter. Now, Chief Fenner.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Mayor said it. We want to send condolences to the family. Nobody, as everybody's hurting, our police department, our fire department, all our citizens, nobody's hurting more than the family members. And our prayers go out to them. And I ask the whole nation, because I know as other news media here, not just local, to pray for the family. I want to go over a few things. Last night I put out some numbers in terms of security, police officers and private security. I gave the number of 367 police officers. That number was the number that we had assigned for the evening shift. We actually had 528 because we held over day shift officers. Live Nation has just reported to us that they had 755 security officers. A lot of security out there. But as everyone is saying, we leave no stones unturned. This has not happened to us ever in Houston since I've been a police officer, and we take pride of it. And we're going to get down to the bottom. A lot of narratives out there right now, a lot of them, on social media, and even last night. I think that all of us need to be respectful of the families and make sure that we follow the facts and the evidence. And that's what we're trying to do here in the Houston Police Department. I will tell you, one of the narratives was that some individual was injecting other people with drugs. We do have a report of a security officer, according to the medical staff that was out and treated him last night, that he was reaching over to restrain or grab a citizen, and he felt a prick in his neck. When he was examined, he went unconscious. They administered Narcan. He was revived, and the medical staff did notice a prick that was similar to a prick that you would get if somebody's trying to inject. That is one part of it. The other thing that's very important, there were some individuals that were trampled, and we want to be respectful of that. But we just ask that y'all give us time to do a proper investigation. Live Nation has stated from the very beginning that they would cooperate. They're going to give us the video sometime this evening. I spoke to my commander in homicide, so we're waiting to get that. That's going to help us. But I also want to call out to the community, kids and young individuals that was out there. If you see something, say something. This is now a criminal investigation that's going to involve our homicide division as well as narcotics, and we're going to get down to the bottom of it. I just want to thank Live Nation and everybody else out there. There was cooperation. I also want to say thanks to our police officers. A lot of them administered CPR. Executive Chief Larry Satterwhite was out there. And something that was important, and the mayor just said it, but I want to hit it again. 9:30, right there, that's when a few people started going down. Our people stepped up and immediately went to the producers and told them, hey, people are going down. This show ended at 10:10 p.m. So I just want to acknowledge that. As far as arrests last night, 25 arrests, 23 of those 25 were trespassers. 1 possession of marijuana and 1 public intoxication. So we'll just open it up for questions after. Chief Pena, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to first start by expressing my most sincere condolences to the families of the victims. This is an unimaginable tragedy that they are experiencing. And it's because of that we're committed to work with our partners, the police department and everybody else involved, in ensuring that this is a complete and full investigation into the cause of this tragedy. Know that the Houston Fire Department, we're going to be looking into the permits that were issued and ensuring that the plan that was submitted was adhered to during the event. This is going to be part of the investigation. Our commitment is to ensure that we are turning every stone, as was mentioned here earlier by the mayor, to ensure that we get to the bottom of this issue. The Houston Fire Department, we had a very robust contingency and emergency response plan. The primary medical component was delivered by a third-party medical company for the venue. The security was the same. It was a third-party company that was delivering the security primarily for that venue. In spite of that, we did have units that were pre-positioned from the Houston Fire Department to ensure that we were monitoring the progress and the event. From the time, as Mayor mentioned, from the time that the incident started to escalate around 9:30, we requested additional resources to the scene to augment those that were already pre-positioned around that venue. And this is important. Even though the plan did not require for that, we had pre-positioned units around the venue in case this incident escalated. From the time that the mass casualty incident was declared to the first unit on scene was 2 minutes when we began to make patient contact. That is an incredible response, and look, that can't go unnoticed. As far as the planning, we here in the city of Houston take these events very seriously. Public safety is our primary concern. The mayor has tasked us with ensuring that we have the resources and the plans and the contingencies ready for these events. We've done these before. I believe we had a robust plan for a non-event. Certainly, the level of injuries, the number of people in that venue quickly overwhelmed the third-party vendors that were providing the security and the medical component. We quickly were able to respond. In regards to the layout, there is no occupancy permit for an outdoor event. Okay, what the calculation for the footprint that was going to be used for the event, if we applied the assembly occupancy, the fire code assembly occupancy formula, they could have had over 200,000 people in this venue. Okay, that's just based on math. This venue was limited to 50,000 in that component. Part of when we have large events, one of the things that we consider is to ensure that the crowds are subdivided. They had 2 separate stages in 2 separate areas. That was part of the plan. We had inspectors to ensure that the means of egress, the doors in and out of that venue, were maintained open and unobstructed. Okay, these injuries did not occur as people would try to exit the venue, and that was evident by the fact that once the event was terminated, that whole footprint was cleared out within the hour, 50,000. So the means of egress, okay, the exits, the doors were kept open, unobstructed. That was our assurance. What we're looking into is what caused the crowd surge, what led to the crowd surge and those incidents at the point of where the concert was being at, the stage. So again, our role in this is to participate with the police department. We are going to be looking at the films and the video as Chief Finner mentioned, and we're going to ensure that the items that should have been in place were in place and that we learn from this event. Really quick, Mayor, the permits that were issued for this were for LPG, and we had inspectors there to monitor that. We had a permit for the pyrotechnics. Inspectors were on scene for that. We had a permit for tents that were erected in the venue. We had inspectors for that. And we had inspectors for the permits for the means of egress, to maintain the means of egress, the doors in and out of that venue to be open and unobstructed, and we had inspectors for that. But again, we're going to be looking at the entire incident to ensure that that we're doing the right thing for these families. They deserve it. We owe it to them, and we're going to participate wholly.